All right, back here on Fantasy Focus, Daniel Dopp, Fields, Yates, and Mike Clay. Guys, we're talking about a couple of running back by committees. We got to choose a side here. We're going to start with the Titans. This was one of my hardest ones to be able to rank, actually, as Titans running backs. I'm going to read this really quickly if you do not mind.
Okay.
Titans head coach Brian Callahan said via the team's website, maybe they both play at the same time. Maybe one gets hot and you let them run. Maybe we just rotate back and forth. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but they are both going to play quite a bit of football for us. And I don't view either one of them as a starter or backup. They're both starting players to me. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do in fantasy with that?
Yeah, we're supposed to not feel great about starting them at either one of them early on in the season. I fully expect that. They both have similar skill sets. They both can catch the football. Pollard is bigger, and he's so far in his career shown to be more of an effective rusher. I know Spears only has 1 year under his belt, but he wasn't used a lot in that area last year because Derrick Henry was there, but he was exceptional as a pass catcher. So I think you're going to see a lean toward Pollard in the run game, a lean toward Spears in the passing game. Pollard gets the goal line work. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a close call. It's not going to be a good thing. I don't think it's going to be a week where you go in thinking, I feel great about starting this guy, but maybe they're both just going to flirt with flex value each week. That's how I'm approaching, but I do have Spears one spot ahead. They're both going in the 9th round of our staff league, so I think it's kind of a toss-up. I would lean slightly towards Spears.
ESPN ADP is the closest of any of these running back battles we're going to discuss. It's currently 106.8 for Tony Pollard, 108.8 for Tajay Spears. Two spots at this point in the draft is very close. So I am going to flip a coin. I don't have a coin, but Mike told me I could flip his phone. Heads being Tony Pollard, tails being Tajay Spears.
Let's toss it, Mike.
Wait, which one? Which heads?
Heads is Pollard, Spears is tails.
All right.
Wow.
So weird. Landed around Spears. How about that?
Okay, there you have it. My pick is Tajay Spears. No, I don't feel great about it. It reminds me of not how the season played out, but how we felt about Jeff Wilson Jr. and Raheem Mostert going into last season.
Sure.
Similar players in terms of overall talent, similar projected role. It ended up being not that.
So which one of these guys is going to have 20 rushing touchdowns?
Neither is my answer.
Okay.
So yes, I believe I have.
Oh, I did it.
Mike finally broke his microphone.
Mike broke his mic. Good job.
One of us.
We've all done it.
Wait, how
So
does it feel?
you guys can be nice to me now?
How does it feel?
I'm in the club now. It feels great.
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome.
I'm just going to see if I can repair this way quicker and better than Field can, and I did.
Wow, look how fast that was, honestly.
Well, you know what? I don't even remember which way I have him in my ranks. I wrote it down and I've forgotten. So I'm going to pick Tony Pollard because I'm going to go against the grain of Mike Clay because he's a big, dumb mic-breaking machine.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
come on. I
That's
just
fair.
broke the mic. I fit in now, guys.
I'm
but
a
then you make
little
fun of me on the
higher
other
on
end.
Tajay Spears. Tony Pollard was just so efficient in that role in Dallas. I hope that the Tennessee Titans kind of move him back to that for us.
What
for
a
fantasy.
weird team. This team is either going to be
gonna throw
way
the
better
ball.
than I expect or they're going to be like a bottom 5.
I think they're going to throw it a ton. I think they told us that by they shocked us by paying Calvin Ridley. Hopkins, once he's healthy, is there. They bring in Tyler Boyd. They're going to go
Burks
more
breakout.
11 personnel, and then you have two effective
pass-catching
pass
running backs.
catchers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built to throw, and I think they're going to.
All right, let's talk about the Commanders' running backs. We've got young Brian Robinson there, who also is splitting time with Austin Eckler. Mike, last year Austin Eckler was an easy top 3 running back, and then he's one of the guys that you talked about. He fell off a cliff, unfortunately. So now, if you're trying to choose between one of these two guys, which way are you going?
I'm going Brian Robinson Jr. for sure. I've been on the record on this one. He's one of my favorite targets. He's going in the 8th round of our 10-team staff drafts. Eckler 2 rounds later in the 10th, so a little bit more, a little cheaper there for Eckler. But Robinson, his usage has been pretty consistent so far. He actually, believe it or not, led all running backs in yards per target last season. So effective in that department as well. Jaden Daniels there could mean some lighter boxes for him. By the way, Eckler last year, 3.5 yards per carry. He has never been over 206 carries. I think he'll drop to kind of where he was before that recent spike with the Chargers when he was younger, which opens the door for Robinson to handle a bulk of the carries. Very fast-paced offense, a lot to like here for Robinson. So he's my guy. 8th round, I think that's going to be a steal.
I want to ask you a question before you answer, Field. When I look at that full screen, understanding there's a 2-round difference between the two, but only an 8-point difference in projection. Why is it that you feel so much stronger about a guy that you've only got projected 8 points higher?
So sometimes it's also about like who you feel more secure with. I think Robinson's role is more secure in the fact that he's younger and on the ascent, whereas Eckler is an older player who's coming off a rough year, and we don't know really what he has left in the tank. So I just feel a little bit better about Robinson.
You could also say the more important part here, which is the projections are trash.
That's you could say that.
What happened
You know
here?
what?
I thought court was over.
I was going to say, I thought we were being nice to Mike. All of a sudden, we switched.
just saying.
I'm on the Brian Robinson
Field does the projections,
bandwagon as well. I would choose him.
We go 3 for 3 on that one, but I do love when people get mad about the projections. Right? I'm sure Mike hates it. It sucks. It's it's a thankless job, but people get so mad. It's like projections, like not like this is what's going to happen. It's how we, Mike and Peter, is projecting it and deal with it, people.
Deal with it. Let's talk about some Miami Dolphins running backs. You okay with that?
Yeah, but this one's fascinating. From how are you making your decision approach?
This is very interesting. Devon Achane, second-year running back, coming off the board at 34.7, or Raheem Mostert, who broke every single model that you have, Mike, coming off the board at 103.7. There is like a 7-round difference almost between these two running backs.
So I would say, at cost, which is either fans' least or most favorite term.
At cost.
At cost. Everything at cost, right? It's like real estate.
You want Devon Achane and his size?
At cost, you want Raheem Mostert. You just do, right? Like we talked about this backfield yesterday, but you would rather get the guy who will not be as good as he was last year, but could absolutely be an RB2, low-end RB2. Getting him in the 10th round, that's incredible value. I think Achane might end up going higher than this when we get into the peak of draft season. People love upside players. It totally makes a lot of sense. Mike has referenced how Achane's often going in the second round of our staff mocks. That's too rich for my blood. At cost, I prefer Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, I agree. I'd take C, Jalen Wright, with a late round flyer over all of these guys. But yeah, Mostert's ADP
that's
is
interesting.
I like Jalen Wright just as a flyer.
But you would rather him than Raheem Mostert as a 10th round?
I would.
I'm fine with Mostert in the 10th round. He's going to drop off so substantially that it's concerned. I haven't drafted him at all. I just think there's better options in that zone. So I just have not taken a lot of Mostert this year. But I certainly would prefer it. The order would be, I would say Mostert or Wright as late flyers. Mostert 10th, Wright as a end of bench stash. But Achane's off the radar. I haven't taken him at all. I have him as more like a 4th or 5th rounder. He's going in the 3rd round on average,
ADP,
closer to the 2nd round in a lot of our staff mocks. So that's just too rich for me. So if I'm picking between the two, certainly Mostert.
I just don't love. I would rather. I'm with you. I'd rather wait and take Jalen Wright. I am worried about Raheem Mostert. All last year, I was worried about the injury history, right? And eventually, it's going to happen. It didn't happen last year, but now another year here, I'd rather just wait and take Jalen Wright.
History says there's a very good chance. I would say 80 to 90% chance, maybe closer to 90, that Mostert will score single-digit touchdowns this year. Based on their history of players that put up big touchdown totals, what happens the next year. If that happens, he's not going to be startable in fantasy because he's not involved in the passing game, and he's not going to get enough carries like a Derrick Henry to carry everything because you have Achane mixed in and perhaps a 3rd running back as well. It's just I just don't see it this year. I just don't know how
running backs really don't do it for you. When you're hanging out with your lovely daughters, Mike, and you're talking when they're like, "Hey, Dad, what'd you do today?" I hung out with my friends Daniel and Field.
My old friends.
Did they ask, old friends? Oh, wow, did Daniel forget his dentures today? Or, has Field used his hair coloring formula to make sure it's no longer gray?
Yeah, well, my oldest just turned 10, so now I'm like, are you getting a job? What are you doing? You're old enough. Get to it. Come on.
Seriously.
Let's move along here.
All right, we got a bunch more running back by committees we're going to get to later on in the offseason. A bunch more backfields, honestly, that have a lot of question marks to it. But coming back right after this, we're going to close out the show with some questions from our listeners.